Hey everybody, welcome back to Mackley Lettering. I am very glad that you are here with me. Today I'm going to be using my iPad Pro, the first generation with the first generation iPad pencil, and I'm going to be going over some tips and tricks of the iPad Pro. So the first thing I'm doing right here is I open Procreate and I'm going through all of my folders and all of my art projects. Right here you can see this plus sign. And on this plus sign, this gives you several options of different kind of sizes that you can create your artwork. 90% of the time, I choose screen size. And if you want to resize later, you can. This is what I do. Okay, so hopping in, we are starting our new project. I'm going to go over a few of the top commands right here on the iPad to kind of give you an example of what they mean and how they can help you. So starting off, we have this toolbar right here. It gives you several different things that you can do. On the first thing, it has the add. So you can insert a photo, you can insert a file, you can take a photo, and you can add text. That is actually a new function that I have yet to use. It came in the latest update, I believe. The next area we have is the canvas. So if you're interested, you can turn your drawing guides on. I don't ever really do this, but you can if you want to. Okay, moving on to the share area. So right here, this is how you download your photos, and if you want to save your images. You have all these different items. Most of the time I just save them as JPEG unless I'm going to take them into Photoshop, which for me personally is hardly ever. And the next area we're going to talk about is actually really cool. This gives you the option to record your drawing as you draw with the time-lapse recording. I just always leave mine on, and then you can export it and post it on Instagram if you want, and then you can replay it and watch it on Procreate when you're in the app. It's very cool and satisfying to watch after you have spent several hours drawing a specific design. The next one is the preferences. So if you want, you can kind of change the interface, the colors if you want to do a light versus dark, etc. Another thing that I really do like is the brush cursor. So when you push the brush cursor on, this shows the actual brush that you're using, and you'll see that kind of later when I work in the project and draw a little something for y'all. Okay, moving on. So now we are in the brushes. Now several of these brushes get loaded into your Procreate app when you purchase, and then you can also purchase brushes by other creators, or you can make some own yourself. I have a mixture of all three. The second icon that we're on right now is your smudging tool. So this is a complete duplicate of your brushes, so when you smudge something, it'll match. And then following that is the eraser. Exact same thing. All of your brushes, so if you were to erase something, it matches what you would be drawing. Very handy. Moving on, these are the layers, which honestly I think is one of the most important parts of Procreate. So you can make multiple layers, and then you can delete certain layers. So this is really good if you want to sketch, and then if you want to delete something that was the sketch, and then you have the final product, which is honestly how a lot of artists get their stuff looking so perfect in Procreate because of this function. And then right over from that, we have the colors. So this gives you the ability to literally create any color that you want. There's several different ways to do that. You can create your own palettes if you want. It's pretty much limitless, and you can even save colors. It's really awesome. Okay, so I taught you some very good tips that you might need. Now let's go ahead and draw as a practice. So go ahead, get your iPad out, and get ready to go. I changed to the color black, and then I changed to my 6B pencil. Right here on the side, this is how big that your brush is going to be. So if you want a smaller brush or a bigger brush. Under it is how much of the opacity you want your brush to be. So versus light or dark. I usually leave my opacity up when I am doing a sketch. Another thing that I like to do when I'm drawing is I like to kind of pull the paper back. This kind of gives me reference on how big the paper is that I'm working with. For me, it's just really helpful to be able to see how much space I have to be able to draw. Another really helpful tip is, say if you draw something and you immediately don't like it, you're like, uh-oh, what do I do? First off, don't panic. Take two fingers just like this, kind of like a claw, and just tap the screen. it'll go away just like you're erasing. If you want the image to come back, you just press the reappear button right here on the side where I'm clicking. So easy, it's one of my favorite commands and I use it all the time. So I'm going to be lettering the Bible verse, 1 Thessalonians 5:17. Pray without ceasing. Another tip that I didn't go over, this is the selection tool, which is extremely helpful when you're doing your sketch. So for example, I don't really like how pray is kind of fitting here, so you can select it and then press the arrow, and then you can actually manipulate the size that you want the word to be. This is extremely helpful so you can put everything exactly where you want without having to rewrite it. Now, if you kind of think ahead, unlike me in some situations, it is easier if you know that you're kind of working with words and you want to change the way that like the layout is and etc. and how it looks. If you make each word into a different layer, because then you can just manipulate the layers and you don't have to keep selecting. However, in my sketch layer, it's not that big of a deal. Speaking of layers, you have the option to actually name your layers if you want. I don't do this most of the time. It probably would make my life easier. I just haven't really done it, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to. So for layer number 1, I'm going to rename it sketch, just so I know that this is the sketch area, and then eventually after I do this, I'm going to delete this, or at least unhide it. I'm going to make a new layer now, which is going to be essentially my final layer. When I make this new layer, I'm going to go back to the brushes and I'm going to select my favorite calligraphy brush, which is the brush pen. It is right down there on the bottom if you see that. This is really cool because if you press hard versus if you press light, it's really like you're drawing on paper. I always check too that I'm drawing on the right layer because many times I have drawn on the incorrect layer and then I have to start over. And sometimes, depending on if you want a very fat stroke versus a skinny stroke, it might take you a second to kind of get used to the brush you're using. That's completely normal. Another extreme helpful tip is to pull your streamline completely up in your brush pen, or any pen for the matter if you want to have a very straight. For example, if I just draw this line, see how crooked that is? It looks pretty pathetic, honestly. Now, if I pull the streamline up, look at what it does to my line. It pretty much makes it completely straight, which makes calligraphy so much easier. It's like the secret hack to Procreate. Okay, so now I'm able to just unhide my sketch layer by just unchecking that box. And then I'm able to go in, and I still am not loving how without looks. So I'm going to reselect, refinagle, and I'll be back with you in just a second. So the point of this is to be easy and to learn. However, I still think it's missing something, but we can still make it pretty easy on what to do. So make a new layer, and then go ahead and select your Sketch B pencil again, or your 6B pencil again. Whatever pencil you want that you can sketch with, select it. And I'm just making some little curly cues. So I'm making some little curly cues around the word to just give it some extra oomph and make it look a little bit more polished and finished. As you can see, it's nothing fancy. I'm literally just drawing little lines and I guess maybe teardrop shapes around the word. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to draw my sketch layer. Then I'm going to grab a new pen that we haven't used yet. It's called the monoline pen. Kind of like a streamline marker, I'd say. I'm going to make a new layer. Go ahead, go over that in the pen. And I'm going to pull my streamline up about halfway. And I'm just going to kind of go over this and etc. Then I'm going to unselect my sketch layer and you'll see what I do next. Okay, so another extremely helpful tip coming at you. So see layer 4 and layer 2, layer 4 and layer 2. I want to select both of those because I want to move my drawing, but I don't want to combine the layers yet. Super simple, just swipe, and select. Kind of like Tinder, but not really. Okay, so see how the design kind of isn't completely centered? So when you click the arrow, you can actually warp your image. So go ahead and click warp. And then you can slide up the corners and the areas on the image. Sorry for my hair there, it's totally in the frame. But you can actually go ahead and get your images, like, you know, you can make it how you want it to fit. So I wanted it more circular. It was kind of at an angle, not very straight. So doing this was very simple and easy. Now, while I was doing this, I noticed that right there. See how that's touching? I don't like that, but it's super simple because I'm on this layer right here and not the Pray Without Ceasing layer. I'm able to just simply erase that, and I'm not going to erase the words because you're on different layers. It makes it so much easier that it does this. So I am going to share it. So I'm just going to save it as a JPEG because I don't feel like I needed anything else. And then I'm just going to click Save Image. It exported successfully. And then I'm going to go in my video and let's go ahead and watch the replay together. Great, guys. I hope you loved this just as much as I did. I wish that when I started Procreate that somebody would have gone through these simple ideas and such with me because it would have made it so much easier. So if you like this video, make sure to comment below and let me know what you think, and I'll see you all later. Thank you all. I hope you have a great day and God bless. Bye.